All right, it's approximately 6:30. We'll go ahead and call to order the Public Safety Committee meeting for June 10th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Miller,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Pence,
Here.
DeWitt,
Here.
Rolfs,
Here.
Mensch,
Here.
Bro,
Here.
Garfield, Mayor.
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to Eric with the auxiliary report.
Good evening, all. Last month's meeting, which we held this month, was kind of light. Gave out the new updated red light letters to the auxiliary officers and reviewed once again how to properly use their emergency lights, when to use them, when not to use them, and ramifications if you use them when you're not supposed to. It was pretty simple. They know better, but I like to review that every time. We took new photos for the new police IDs. Those are getting submitted so we can have identification of who they are. And then it was more of a spring cleanup at the outbuilding there where the auxiliary car and boat is stored. A lot of old debris and table and some chairs look like literally from the 50s were all removed. Old uniforms were cut apart so they could not be reused on the street somehow unlawfully and disposed of. We had no emergency calls at all, which is good. And we pretty much after that just adjourned the meeting. There was nothing else to discuss. Any questions from any of you folks?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eric.
Next, we'll move on to Chief Fire and the, let's say there's no, Chief Fire, okay.
Good evening, council. Calls for the month of May, we had responded to 12 structure fires, 2 first responder calls, we had 27 EMS calls, 3 motor vehicle accidents, went to 5 automatic alarms, 3 mutual aid calls, and then we had 13 of other. Gave us a total of 65 for the month. Training for May, we did nozzle control and stream applications, rapid intervention team training under smoke and fire conditions at our training cans. We also did standpipe operations. Mainly we did that because of to prepare for the hospital if there's anything to ever take place at the hospital. It's really the only building we have in town with standpipes. We've never really trained on it, so we pushed forward with that. And then we finished the month out with our ladder truck placement within commercial buildings for offensive or defensive operations. Nothing to report on personnel. Equipment, we had our annual pump and ladder testing done this last week. Everything came back okay there, so that's good. We also went ahead and got all the cities, the AEDs throughout the city. Those all got their annual service, so they're up to par. No issues there either. And then for miscellaneous, the one thing I was going to bring up is the association. They did a biscuits and gravy breakfast. They did a great job with that. First time we've ever done something like that. The association president, Nick here, he put that together, did a good job. Ended up clearing $1,400 and $1,444. And that money's going to go towards buying 2 more ice rescue suits. We actually had 2 of them fell on us this year during training themselves. Some of it due to age. They're kind of getting up there in age, and they do kind of fall apart. So with that, this is going to help substitute the purchase of replacing those 2 suits. So is there any questions?
Good job.
Good effort, Nick. Thanks. Thank you.
That's all I have, council.
Okay. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing for Police and Fire Commission. I don't see NIDA, so we'll move on to Chief Starkey.
Good evening. Total calls for the month were 357. 57 traffic stops, 16 bookings at the county jail, $416 in booking fees there. Not too much to note in the typical calls for service, honestly. Vehicle maintenance, probably the biggest headache of the month. We had 3 cars in the shop. 1 car was having an engine replaced. Another car had to have the water pump replaced, and then we had some coolant hoses that burst on a vehicle while the guys were at training at PTI in Champaign. So we ended up having to use the auxiliary car for about 2 weeks probably while those cars were all getting fixed. Thankfully, those are all back in service now as of a couple days ago. So we're operating back at full strength there. The new squad car, it's in the works. It's getting close, but we are missing some equipment from Federal Signal that allows the lights and siren to work. It's kind of on back order, so until we can get that part in, it's probably going to be probably sitting still. But hopefully in the next week or two, it's in service then as well. New computers and the e-tickets should be getting installed in all the squads as well. The e-tickets is a program that's being paid for by the county clerk's office. Allows for the tickets to just be printed there in the vehicle, and then it imports all that information directly to their office. It's just kind of a more efficient way than pen and paper. So we're in the process of getting all that installed in the cars. Training wise, just like I said last month, we're still just trying to get all the guys up to speed and up to date on all their training. We've got some CPR and first aid training that's mandated by the state. That has to be in person every other year. That's set with the county health department here at the end of the month. And then we've got some active shooter training scheduled for the high school at the end of the month as well. Now that there's no students in session, we've talked to the school, and they're going to allow us in there in the afternoon. Just like I said before, we've got some guys that aren't from the area necessarily, and so it's important that they understand have never even been in the school before, and just so they can get a understanding of the layout of the school in the event that something unfortunate takes place. Lastly, miscellaneous wise, probably see an increase in our jail booking fees moving forward. The state's attorney's office has asked that we take all arrests to the county jail to be booked in. There was a time period where we would do notice to appears and things of that nature, but the state now, because of some leads and criminal history requirements that aren't being met, apparently there's a number that's generated through the bookend procedure that they track those arrests by, and so when we're not taking them in and they're not being photographed and fingerprinted, that number is not being generated. So we've been asked now that anytime there's an arrest, that those individuals are taken to the jail and booked in. So that $26 fee we'll start to see a little bit of an increase there probably. So that's all I got, unless there's any questions.
The unit that the motor's being put in, is it done, or?
It is done.
Oh,
Yes,
cool.
we picked it up Monday actually.
Oh, okay.
So it's back in service.
So you got everything on the road now?
We do,
Okay.
correct.
Do we have any records of the vehicles that, like all the police cars, how long they've, any records about the vehicle, about their maintenance and all that? So in that way you can get an idea of okay, what's coming up, and then
Sure.
stuff like that.
Yeah, we've keep records on all the vehicles. I've got a sheet that
Gotcha.
we've got all the mileage detailed on all the vehicles, and outside of we've got a couple that are near 100,000 miles, but the rest of them are anywhere between 30 and 50. So
Thank you.
Eric provided me a list of all the vehicles, so we kind of look forward and see, where we're at year to year. So we got that when we handled the budget. So.
Thank you.
No more questions for Eric? No. Any other inquiries from the committee members? Seeing none, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All in
Second.
favor? Aye.
All right. So we're going to call the Code Enforcement Committee meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Bench,
Here.
DeWitt,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Pence,
Here.
Ross, here, Bro,
Here.
Garfield, Mayor.
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
I will make one comment while we're doing public comment. If the public is going to make a comment, now's the time to do it. Otherwise, we don't expect any public comment during our agenda. So if you're going to speak, now's the time to speak.
Some are here for the poultry. Do you want them to speak now or wait till we get up to the poultry ordinance?
Well, I guess we can include it during the poultry ordinance then.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, Nick.
Okay, so no public comment. Tony Moore with Republic Service. Just make sure the microphone's on, please.
That's a big task. I think
Just
we're good.
tap
Yeah,
it.
it's on.
Tap
Okay.
Tap it.
Perfect. Yeah, so Tony Moore with Republic Services. We've been your guys' waste hauler for, I want to say, maybe even going on 15 years now. It's been a long time since we've been in this community. It's just that annual time where our contract is coming up towards the end of this year. Wanted to come from the council, make sure that we're addressing everything that we can for you and your community, and at the same time even show what we would like to do to extend our partnership for another 5 years if that's something that you guys are looking at going with. So first and foremost, I'm here to make sure that all is well. So if anybody has any complaints or concerns, I'm happy to address them. That's too easy.
What time do you start pickup in the mornings?
So it varies. I don't think we do anything before 6 a.m. Because I think that's in line with your guys' ordinance that we have out there. But either way, it's about an hour trip for our truck to come up here, a little bit more. So they're not here extremely in the morning, but if I remember correctly, I think it's 6 a.m. is the earliest that we can start with our trucks on your streets.
And you are going to talk about the recycling.
Yeah, so we're always happy to talk about recycling. Way back in the day, recycling was a great commodity and was very helpful and a good resource for us. Anymore, it's not. I won't lie to you. There's a lot of cost that goes into recycling. One good thing that I will say about Republic Services is that we are constantly working with local U.S. people that are looking for recycling and distributing that back into the states. So a while ago, we ran into a problem where I'm sure a lot of people know about recycling, got stuck overseas. China wasn't taking anymore. We sat back, especially here in this region, and said, what can we do different? Partner with Midwest Fiber. Their main plant is over in Bloomington, Illinois, and they actually take all of our recycling material and sell them back into the states. With that being said, we defer everything we can from the landfill. There's a lot of cost that comes with that as well. And then we actually have to pay to get rid of the tonnage of there. So we pay X amount of money per ton for the recycling. So there's no rebates, kickbacks, or anything else that comes to us. We actually have to pay to make sure that it's taken care of properly. If you were looking at like recycling at the curb, it would affect every resident because we would not know who would actually need it or who wouldn't. So the rate would go against everybody, whether they used it or not. And to be honest with you, it would probably be about another $10 to $15 a month on everybody's services to do that. The other option that we have is putting a drop box so you guys can have like a little recycling center. That would be something we would want to do directly with the municipality and have the municipality pay us for that. Looking at that today, it's going to be about $1,400 every time that would have to pull. And that would be a 25-yard box. It would have a cover, sliding doors on it. You could put anything that you wanted into it for recycling. But every time we'd have to come get it and lift it, it would be $1,400 for us to dispose of it.
How often does it last?
So every community is different. With it being something brand new here, it would be hard for me to really dictate how quick that would go. We have some communities that it goes once a month. We have some communities where it has to go once a week because how much people are utilizing it. So with it being so new and if it was something that you guys went to look for, I would say hopefully maybe once a month, but if it's a big turnout in your community of people that want to recycle, that could be something that goes quite a bit.
And where do you locate that at?
So we would work with the municipality on a space that would work. Obviously we don't have anywhere that we could put it directly, but wherever you know, if that's an option that you guys went with, wherever you guys would say, hey, it would work here. Obviously, we would want to make sure it's concrete, things like that, so our trucks can get on it. We're not damaging any property.
Mm. So maybe like Lauren would be a good person to work with in terms of like, you know, if
Yeah.
we do wanted to do something like that. Okay.
And I would say this, a lot of our other communities that do that as well have some way to actually close that at night. So whether it has a gate around it or something else like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we get what we call fly dumping, where people say, hey, I got this couch, it can go right next to this big dumpster. And now we're trying to figure out what goes on with that too. So there's a lot of little kind of odds and ends that I'd definitely, again, be happy to help with. I didn't want the cost to really be a surprise to anybody.
Right. What is the utilization of that drop box for other cities of the city that you provide, like garbage services?
As far as like how many community members use it, or
Like,
Is
like
it cardboard or plastics? Like
Oh.
that? Is that what you're talking about?
no, like
Sorry.
like you offer like, you know, the services to other cities as well. So like, do you have any other cities that use this Dropbox services, and how many cities are actually utilizing this?
yeah, so it's definitely quite a few. We have 24 contracts that 28 contracts that we run, and I think there's at least like 8 or 10 of them that do it that way.
Okay.
Some of them are way okay with paying a lot extra to get recycling at
Right.
the curb, so they go with that option as well. But it's just not an inexpensive way to go. It's very costly.
Is there any pilot programs or anything like that that we could test out?
So for us to do a Dropbox, we would actually purchase that specifically just for your community. So that would be a little tough just because we would have some capital involved with getting that in place.
Right.
And so if you did it for 30 days and said, hey, we don't want any more, we would be stuck with that capital. So
Okay.
Okay.
not saying we can't discuss things. I'm always happy to try to help.
And then the recycling, is that cardboard, plastics, like
So it's all in
metals?
one for us. So we'll take everything from cardboard to glass,
Okay.
everything in between. The only thing that we ever try to do, especially to Dropbox, is continuously educate residents to make sure that the biggest thing people do is bag their recycling. And, you know, those Walmart bags and everything else, and those really tear up the machines once they start to go through and filter out the recycling material. So that's usually the biggest thing that we try to help educate, you know, any community on, to make sure they're not doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When does negotiations start for that?
So our contract is up in October of this year. So the other thing that I did want to present, you know, while I was here tonight, I think if a lot of people remember from the last time we did a contract, we had to do a big hike increase because we didn't have any percentages built into the last contract. So it fell very far behind to where the costs were. Happy to say that that didn't happen this time. So it's a lot better looking than where it was the last time. But what we would ask is, at the start of the new contract, we would look at a 4% increase. So that would take the rate to $1,551 per home. And then we would look at keeping that 4% increase each year after. So you guys are currently at 3.5% a year, so we're just asking for a small 0.5% bump on the out years.
And what's the number for each family right now?
So it's like low or high I think it's 1487, somewhere right in there. So this is a 4% increase from where you're at.
Okay, so what is the number after the 4%?
1551 would be the
Okay.
new contract.
Thank you.
Yep.
And that's 5 years?
So 5 years, but then every year there would be a 4% increase at the contract date. So every October there would be a 4% increase.
Okay.
That's just to help us keep up with our disposal and everything else that changes.
All right. Do we want to do the recycling? Do we want to table it? Do we want to think about it?
I want to think about the recycling
Yeah, I
part.
think
Okay.
we should.
Yeah. But
All right.
I do think we should discuss about the contract, like the 4%.
We have until October, right?
October, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So anytime that there is questions or anything, Nick, I know you know how to get a hold of me, but I'm always here to help all of you out with any questions, even if your residents have any questions, things like that. Please let me know. Be happy to help.
All right. Is there
Thank you.
any more questions for Tony?
All right. Thank you
Okay.
all very much. I appreciate
Tony.
your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
All right. So now I'm going to turn it over to Eric for his report.
All right, thank you. IDNR flood mitigation, so the last 3 houses are down, grass seeded, demolition is complete. We put in for a reimbursement from the state on May 23rd for $119,240.50. That would bring us up to date with what the state owes us, and I will let you know as soon as we receive that. And I always get the question of where are we at with the full grant. So including the $119,240, that would put us at $3,462,571.50 that we have used, and there would be $1,894,457.50 remaining of the 5.23 million. So there's still a lot of money left, a lot of work to be done. Next up is any questions on IDNR flood mitigation?
You
So
think-
next up is poultry ordinance. I think we all been waiting for this. So I give everybody some stapled together sheets. The first page is the ordinance as it is today for the city of Watseka, 5-3A-7, animal houses and no poultry is allowed in the city. So that always kind of struck me as strange, what did not allowing poultry have to do with animal houses? So I looked in an old code book on my shelf in my office, and it references the 17-84. So I pulled out the section 17-84, and there it was, housing animals and poultry, and it specifies specifically how you need to keep and maintain not only poultry but other animals and keep them contained. So, at one time, poultry was allowed in Watseka. When they didn't stop being allowed, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. And then one more thing that I could,
You don't have a date on that first ordinance?
I do not.
Okay.
The animal houses, no poultry allowed, that's off of the codified online American Legal. Whether it went from, the book being codified and it got changed at that point, I couldn't tell you. And then one other thing that I would bring up is, I know roosters were mentioned and the noise they make. So our code today currently, 5-3A-4, noisy animals, it shall be unlawful and a nuisance to harbor or keep any animals or poultry which disturb the peace by loud noises at any time of the day or night. So again, it's obvious that poultry was in the Watseka City ordinance at one time. I know we've got a lot of supporters here. I've asked them to reach out to their older persons, if they really want it, they need to make themselves heard. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to the designated speaker, I guess.
Mayor, can I present documents to you guys?
He'd like to pass out some paper.
Oh, sure.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So, I already criticized the printing so much, so you all don't get your phone. You will be sharing.
We can share.
Don't worry, we kill a lot of trees.
You must be important.
I will share with Nick.
You need yours, I'll share with Charlie here.
more organized than I am.
I was gonna say.
I have copies as well.
You got those
so.
already?
Mhm.
All right. So everyone knows Jessica. I'll introduce myself. I'm Brandon Farrell. I live at 1200 West Smith Street here in Watsika, and going on about 20 years. First, I apologize for not being at the last meeting. I'm in the military police, and I was at Fort Knox doing some training. And in that role, I am this close from being captain. And also, civilian side, I am a administrator for Northwestern. So, just wanted to provide that as to why I wasn't involved previously, because I wasn't here. So the first packet that was handed out to everybody is basically, you want to introduce yourself too?
Well,
Sorry.
I'm Jessica Rogers. You guys already know me.
Sorry about
from
that.
last month. Yeah.
So basically, the first packet, the larger one that has all the identified cities on here, I basically did some research and looked at various cities across the state of Illinois, different counties, smaller than Watsika, same size as Watsika, larger than Watsika, and basically screenshotted, copy and pasted this into this document. I do have an electronic version of this in the event that someone wants to look at this quicker and easier, so you can just search and find. Basically, I just summarized it on the first page as to where you can reference the cities, if they have poultry, yes or no, and if you could source that on the certain page and then actually look at the ordinance that they have. Many of them, if not all of them, that have yes, 100% have stipulations, have accountability, have rules, and that's kind of what we're asking for. To go back to what Eric was mentioning about the ordinance that was prior to, and what we found out is that it was actually changed in 2019. So 2019 is when it became an electronic version of the ordinances. That's when it went to the e-file versus a paper file, which is I physically saw in Eric's office last week when I was here. That was in paper. When it went from paper to electronic, whoever sent that to the electronic company chose to cherry pick what they wanted to do. And that's why there's only one line in the current ordinance of no poultry houses, which is not even in the correct one, in the correct section of the doctrine. So basically, that is the evidence, not evidence, but the supporting factor of this information that there is cities, smaller, larger, same size as Watsika that do, and they have the ordinances, they have the rules, they have everything to keep people accountable. And then if you don't, obviously there's consequences. The other thing, the other document that I had, that is the one with yellow, is the first one is the, it has the summary of last month's meeting and basically everything that was dictated into the poultry ordinance. And basically, the only thing I wanted to call out on this one is that it mentioned that, sorry, Eric, I'm going to call you out on this one. Eric stated he is aware of some of the chickens in town now, but if the neighbors aren't complaining, he just lets it go, and he doesn't get any complaints at all. So, leads me to a couple more pages. Just keep that in the back of your mind. The other thing I wanted to point out that it was on your guys' 2014 goal of comprehensive plan, 2014 to 2024. I looked all that. Basically, on that document, it shows, and I highlighted in yellow on page 2 of the demographics, the median household income of Watsika is $33,000. Iroquois County, $48,000. Illinois, $56,000. Yes, Watsika is a lower income area. So give the citizens of Watsika the opportunity to compensate the high price of eggs. Yes, the egg prices have come down. This is basically what sparked this whole thing, is when eggs were super, super high. Given the different circumstances, if we lived today when eggs were sky high priced, huge favorable argument for that, to allow people to have chickens to produce eggs. So that's what I'm asking about that too, is just because eggs are coming down, that is no longer a reason not to have chickens. Oh, the eggs are back to normal prices about. The other thing is just to call out on in the purple bar graph. It actually shows that Watsika has a continuously decreasing population of people in the city. So calling that out as well, because that was also mentioned in a prior meeting that if you don't like to not have chickens in the city limits, then get out of Watsika. I don't think that was a appropriate comment made as well. Going to page 3 is basically going into ordinance contradictions. So there are tons of ordinances out there looking into this, and there's a lot of ordinances that are out there. There's contradictions, there's things that aren't followed, and there's things aren't upheld. That first page, on the actual ordinance that is on the website, it calls out that grass or weeds cannot exceed 6 inches. On your guys' website, you guys call out that it's 12 inches. So where's the accountability on that? I did bring that to Eric, so maybe that's already been corrected on your guys' website, but there's a discrepancy right there within your own doctrine that you guys control. Other thing, ordinance of the livestock, excessive or continuous untimely barking or any other noises that are habitually attacking or harassing, trespassing people. The other thing I acknowledged when I was doing all this research is all you guys are also just like me. You guys are citizens of Watsika. You guys have the rights of everyone else, not just myself, not just the people over here, Jessica, my family. You guys all have the same rights. These ordinances are in place to keep everyone accountable. Why should we have to always listen to a dog bark if that is not if that's an ordinance? Keep people accountable. If there's no chickens, then keep it accountable. But there's no argument to be made if you guys have these ordinances and no one's actually keeping them accountable. So that just leaves wide open area for other people to just say,
Brandon?
Yeah.
Brandon, we're here for the poultry.
I know.
Could we
I know.
stay on the topic, please?
So basically, I'm just, with that whole part is, there's ordinances for a reason, so they need to be accounted for. As you can see on multiple pages, there's many different things in here, and they all have to do with animals or some kind of thing that has been brought to the attention of the council in previous meetings. The same thing about messy yards. That's the same thing too. And to an argument that you guys can make that you guys never heard about this, there's actually a copy and pasted at the Tuesday, May 28, 2024. This was brought to your guys' attention in that point, where there were the yards, the uncleanliness yards, the dogs barking, and repetitive trespassers too. So with that, it's basically going back down to what makes someone not have chickens. There really isn't, because they're not being held to anything, no other ordinance. So even if there was an ordinance, what's the negative part of that? And yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm here to voice my opinion,
Brandon?
and you guys' votes would dictate the outcome of this, and I'm just asking you guys to think of yourselves as as the community that you guys represent and your ward that you represent. There was a thing that was in the ordinance that was produced and provided to you guys at last meeting. The one thing that I would like to dictate on that or change on that is lot sizes in Watsika. I believe it's 50 by 100 or 50 by 50 is what you guys consider a lot. Whether that is a 3, 4, 5, 6 chicken limit for a lot 50 by 50 or 50 by 100 by the minimum size lot in Watsika, so be it. But the lots that are larger, there should be there should be an adjustment for those that have a larger lot so they can have more chickens. For example, I looked at all the lot lines within Watsika, your guys' website. There's a lot of lots out there that are a lot larger than 50 by 100 or 50 by 50. Myself, my lot is just shy of 5 acres. Why should I have to abide by someone that has a 50 by 50 and not someone that has an acreage of less than 5? That's the other adjustment and the amendment that I would like to make to that as well.
Thank you.
Actually, I do have questions for you.
Yep.
This paper that you sent to gave us has all these people's names on it.
Yep.
19 out of the 50, I believe there's 50 people there, are not even part of Watsika.
Correct.
Unfortunately, why are they telling us how to do our stuff?
It was so that was a Facebook post.
Correct. So that's 38%.
Correct. I
Of
mean, if
people.
we want to talk percentages, I didn't do the math, but I know for a fact the amount of people that voted for the last election was not a high number. So,
Correct.
I
But
mean,
but then people aren't citizens of Watsika.
I agree, and
So I'm going to obsolete them guys out.
and that's with respect. I did not mention that at all. The number of people.
I've read Jessica's Poultry.
Yep.
It's right here. I personally think it's a well-written, I think it was a different girl that wrote it.
Elizabeth.
She wasn't able to come
Okay.
tonight, so.
So this ordinance that she has wrote that was basically, I think given to us last time. I kind of made some changes to it in my point of view. The roosters, maybe I speak for myself, but I don't want them. I am willing to compromise with you guys as much as I can. I believe the limit should be 4 because like you said, people can't take care of their yards. People can't take care of stuff.
Mhm.
And right now they are here. The chickens are here, whether you like it or not. So to me, if you're not going to be for the chickens, then you have to basically get rid of all the other ones. Everybody's breaking the law. And that's, unfortunately, I'm willing to compromise with these guys and get over with this. We have other stuff we can get done. So,
I couldn't agree more. I'd go with 6 chickens, no roosters. You have a $40 fee, I'd go $50, and limit to 25 permits. So that way we don't have a town full of chickens. First 25 people, get it? And I keep thinking back to the first time I was on here. Mayor Harwood always told us, no matter what we do in here, we can always undo. So say we let 25 people have chickens. If it gets to be a pain, 2 or 3 people don't want to do what they're supposed to do, we come in here and say, no more chickens, get rid of your chickens. One person screws up, sorry folks, you're out.
Respectfully.
Right next door to me right now, as we speak right now, there's 5 chickens running around her yard. They're not cooped up, nothing.
Yep.
And they don't I'm going to tell you right now, they don't bother me in the least.
Yep.
They're better than a damn dog barking. I don't have a problem with her chickens at all. Because last time when we left here, I was completely against the chickens. Now I've completely flipped. Her chickens aren't bothering me. I don't care. But we need to set rules. That's all there is to it. And like I say, if one person screws up or 2 people screw up, sorry.
Yep.
We can always undo whatever we do in here. Can always be undone. That's my opinion, guys.
Yep. And Charles, thank you for talking to me the last week for about an hour and a half
No
about
worries.
this.
No worries.
And I think what you mentioned about the finances, as you can see in other cities, I know when we talked about the finances, you mentioned, I recommended $150 for a one-time fee. You said no, that was too high.
That's too high.
Then you mentioned $25 because you guys, I don't have a golf cart, but you guys pay $25 a year to register that.
Right.
And then it just came 50. So that is something where yes, it's not going to make $1 million for Watsika. It's going to generate a little bit of money, and that money could be used in other ways to increase the community. There's a lot of vacant land and lots in the city because of the floodplain, and because the people are leaving the flood zone area in the circle area and moving out over to the non-flood zone. Those abandoned lots could be turned into a community garden, and that could be funded and produced by the money that is raised or generated by the chickens.
Well, for right now, I think the money generated for the chickens might help offset the cost of keeping them in line. Help with Shane and pay and stuff.
I will
like that.
volunteer myself to do
Well,
this.
that's what I said too. I don't mind doing it. It doesn't bother me in the least. I'm retired. I got nothing else to do.
Well, the city is certainly not in this to make money. That's not
Right.
the point. We're not gonna
I
make
just
money
thought
with
that
it.
way you get people, if it's gonna cost you $50, at least they have a little skin in the game.
It
You know what I
holds
mean?
people accountable is
Mhm.
what it is,
So
more
that-
than anything, the licensing fees.
I mean, I realize $50 isn't a lot of money, but at least then they have a little skin in the game. They're gonna be out $50 if they don't do what they're supposed to do.
And also when
My opinion, and you guys do what you want.
Charles, also when you and I talked, because the prior statute did not quantify a limit, that was kind of where you were standing, is that there's no limit as long as it's manageable, it's clean, it's a presentable area. I agree, no free-range chickens as well, and also no roosters, but I think it should be per case. Like in my situation, I have almost 5 acres. Why should I
I just
have
want
to
to
be?
get this started. That's what I'm after.
I agree.
Let's get it started. If,
So
if
do we-
these guys go along with it, a year from now, yeah, you got a bigger lot. Okay, let's come in. Let's let's work on it.
Mhm.
But for now, I just wanted to get it started and see if it works. If it doesn't work, like I said, we can come in here and say, no more chickens. But if we do say no more chickens, then I don't want to eat more chickens in Watsika. Because I can name almost 5 places right off the top of my head that has chickens, and nobody's done anything about it. So
But-
I'm like you. You need to, if we have the code, enforce it.
I agree, and then let's
That's why
start with
that's
all
why
the
I'm
other
all for
codes.
having chickens. We've already got them. I know of, like I say, 5 places, and nobody's complained yet. So
The
I'm all
free
for
ranging
having
dogs, the non-barking dogs, all these are
So-
like.
don't even go with dogs on me.
I'm
man.
just
Do
saying.
do we have a motion on the table?
What's that?
Do we have a motion on the table?
I'll make the motion. Yeah,
To do what?
What are we proposing?
I'll go with her ordinance that she's so expertly written up. Except the only thing I would do is change 40 to 50, and go with 6 chickens. No
And
roosters. No ducks. No turkeys. No nothing.
Well, you gotta-
Chickens.
You gotta look at your livestock one too, then, 'cause
Yeah. You know what?
The question I have is, do people do this for economy? Why do people have chickens? What is the purpose?
It's pets. It's literally pets. So
What?
pets. It's
Pets?
it's a pet. So the other conversation that Charles and I had the other day is, what do you do when a chicken stops laying eggs? And he was like, "What do you do? Go." And he said in the last meeting too, "Just go in the backyard and shoot it and show your kid how to butcher a chicken." No, it's your pet. It's a pet you had for many years. If you have a dog that is 15 years and you normally would jog with this dog every single day, 2 miles or walk around, and it can't no more because it's old, you're not going to go in the back of the shed and shoot it. You're going to either cater to it because it's injured, you're going to take it to a vet and actually get medication, or you're going to euthanize it, or that you're not just going to kill a chicken because it's a pet. You adopt, you get familiar with it and you get a bond with that animal. These aren't people like people. If you look at the chickens that are in Watsika now, and I know of chickens in Watsika too, they're not like a poultry farm you see out 10 miles away from here where there's thousands of chickens and disgusting and smells and gross. These are literally they're pets that just live outside.
They follow the neighbor kids around. They
But,
do.
But again, they shouldn't, because they shouldn't be free range.
I know, but I'm just saying I guess they're pets. I don't know.
friendly.
Yeah, they're not.
Like I say, I'm just going
They're
to
a
speak
lot
from
less
my
threatening.
experience. They're across the street from me. They don't bother me in the least. I don't know if you guys know where I live, but I'm a block from the animal shelter
Yep.
that the county took over and so nicely built the fence so they can let them all out at the same time. And our days of leaving our windows open are once again gone.
That's a different
Because-
subject.
No, it's not.
I think one of the things that bothers me with this, though, and I guess I'm seeing it, is the fact that we have had an ordinance of no chickens. Jessica here does not have them, right? She's asking to do it and has come forth and asked the council and put a proposal together. But those that have gone against it just on their own and we have not held it accountable, that we are almost saying, okay, you know what, that's okay, we'll just change the ordinance and make it happen. Partly. I also kind of feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, there's a small percentage of our community that is saying, hey, we would like to this, but another large percentage, because I've had a lot of conversations with many people that feel like this discussion is really kind of a laughing matter and we really shouldn't be having it. So I don't know. I stand strong still on what I said last time, but I'm just opposed to it myself.
We have to remember, we represent 4,700 people here,
Yep.
not just
And
Exactly.
a small
one
portion on
other
Facebook.
amendment that can be made to the ordinance is also read, you can see it in here. They have ordinances where you have to have a certain amount of feet from the border of your next door neighbor. A lot of them are about 20 to 25 feet. If you are in a 50 by 50 or 50 by 100 lot, commonly in Watsika, and a lot of them are in Ward 3, guess what? And we pick and you choose to do a 25-foot from your neighbor's border, guess what? You ain't having one. You can't have one because your lot is too small. So that would literally eliminate Ward 3, pretty much, because you can't physically have them there. They're illegal in Ward 3. But Ward 2, where the lots are a lot larger, where things aren't always up to par where the tax money goes to, like we don't have curbs. There's a lot of things that happen in different wards, and that's where I think that's how you can, I don't want to use the word manipulate, but that's how you can manipulate the ordinance to segregate and pick and choose the wards based on physical things that are,
I think
that
that's
are,
like very specific in terms of, because we can't really control the specifics. What I would suggest is that, can we do like say like a pilot for the pilot of like a certain time period, and then if that works, great. If nothing, like, there is no issues, causes, like, disturbing the neighbors, we do like a 3 months pilot.
What do you do when we decide it's a problem?
Then we take it away.
Do what with chickens?
After they've all been here.
but,
Like taking a pet away.
but to go back to what Eric said in the last meeting,
Dog away, a pet dog from somebody. Now we're saying you can't have that pet dog anymore.
Correct.
That's what we're gonna run into.
That's my issue with pilot.
I'm the new guy on the block here, and, so I can't really reference to old ordinances and new ordinances. Apparently, you have showed us that we're not doing our work as far as code enforcement's concerned. I know, because I was involved with the police commission for many years, that we finally had to find a code enforcement officer to handle our codes because they don't have the time to run on every call. And they're having a hard enough time just taking care of law and order. So, we had to go to a full-time, part-time code enforcement officer. I know for a fact they got their hands full. And obviously you showed us that we still got our hands full. And now we're going to throw another ordinance that we have to monitor and control and police. And I just think personally that we've got our hands full right now. So we're trying to throw together an ordinance that we're not quite sure of the verbiage and everything on it. So at this point, I'm not in favor of it.
and that is where I volunteered my own personal time to work on this with you guys or with Shane, sir.
And he's new too, so, we have a lot of work to do, as a code enforcement officer and code enforcement, so.
And you have 2 community members standing up here offering their help and their
I know,
time for free.
We appreciate that.
If you're proposing an ordinance change, do we have the ordinance written in front of us?
I have the one that she wrote,
With you made changes though too.
made changes with it, but I'm just asking,
Yeah.
either we're gonna kill this right now, or we're going to go forward and we can make the ordinance change.
You got this one here.
That's all I wanna know.
So you don't even wanna do the ordinance, you just wanna say yes or no?
I just wanna say, are we gonna
We
allow them or
pursue
are we
it?
not gonna allow them?
So we need to make a motion to let them have chickens and in pursuit to us getting an, ordinance put together.
Yes, and then that way, when it comes to the next meeting,
We can have an
have
ordinance
that
put
ordinance,
together.
everybody can see it, and we can vote on that.
I'll make the motion that we get started on having an ordinance for chickens.
Do I have a second?
So the ordinance is that we start the ordinance to allowing chickens or working on the chickens.
Charlie, I believe, started to work on the ordinance to
Have chickens.
have chickens.
Have chickens. Okay.
All right,
I second that.
did you catch that? You second that, Yami? Okay, so I got a motion to start the ordinance to allow chickens from this point. Can I have roll call, please?
Bro,
Present.
No, no, no. You're not gonna
Oh,
vote
yeah,
present.
No, yeah, come on.
You're gonna vote yes or
Yeah.
no,
Well,
or this
yes.
is not gonna go through. I will stop that.
Mensch,
No.
DeWitt,
Yes.
Rolfs,
Yes.
Pence,
No.
Peterson,
No.
Miller,
No.
Mayor,
No.
5-3 with the noes. 5 noes and 3 yes. Motion failed.
Thank you.
Jessica, for what it's worth, you really did a lot of work and great job. I respect and appreciate it.
I'm gonna leave.
Okay, next on the agenda, facade grants. We have two tonight, 313 East Walnut. That's Heritage FS, and they're asking for the full $5,000. They're doing landscaping and parking lot improvements. Do we want to handle these separately, or?
Probably should.
Do them together. Okay, next one up is 218 East Walnut, the Watsika Theater, and they're doing marquee repairs, and also he's proposing some facade graphics. And he is also asking for the full $5,000.
Can you explain the facade, just sort of the history, what makes it, I mean, what are we, we're just, it helps with improving the city, there's a money out, right, like a grant for that?
It helps improve the buildings. You know, it originally was
Front of the
proposed to
building.
maintain the historic downtown. Immediately, that fell pretty flat. You know, they expanded it to in every business within the city limits.
Okay.
And you guys have pretty much allowed anything that is improving the facade of the building.
Assuming the max is $5,000.
Yeah,
What's the requirements to
they
be
spend
met?
10,000 and match 5,000.
And they both have met all the requirements to make that happen.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a matching grant,
Thank you.
Up to 5,000.
up to 5,000.
Okay.
With provided paperwork from the person, from
Paid receipts, canceled checks.
with receipts, yeah.
And you have everything you need to support that from both of these individuals?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to accept those facade grants?
I will make that motion.
Okay.
Are we gonna separate them or do them the same? I work for FS, I can't vote.
Okay, do them separate then.
Yeah, we'll do them separate then.
Go ahead and get going on it.
All right, so 313 East Walnut Heritage FS facade grant. I need a motion.
Second.
I will make the motion.
Okay, there we go. So we have a
Mensch,
Yes.
DeWitt,
Abstain.
Miller,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Pence,
Yes.
Rolfs,
Yes.
Bro,
yes.
Mayor.
Aye.
Roll call carried.
All right, so 218 East Walnut Street. Is it 218 or 218 and a half? Or,
His application is for 218.
okay. Just making
He's
sure.
got his address, business address is 208 and a half,
Okay.
but
Just
the
making-
actual building is 218 East
Okay.
Walnut.
Sorry, 218 East Walnut, the Watsika Theater for the facade grant. I need a motion.
I make the motion.
Second. All right. Roll call, please.
Rowe,
Yes.
Rolfs,
Aye.
Pence,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
DeWitt,
Yes.
Mensch,
Yes.
Mayor,
Aye.
roll call carried.
Lastly, we have 319 West Hickory, Crossroads Garage. We talked about this property a little bit last month. We've got Robies here tonight representing Crossroads to talk about their situation.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
We're just here, we had, Eric brought it to our attention, there's some concerns about our property. We just wanna show up, we're not ignoring them, we are working to move forwards with them. We showed them some plans for fencing today. We're just working with trying to get into the budget for it. Is there anything we might be able to answer for you, tell you who we are, what we're doing?
Okay, what is the timeline that you are able to do what you know, the plans
What he's
that you
looking
told
for?
them? Yeah.
Yeah, we want a fence too. We want to be conforming with what everybody wants to see. We opened during COVID, so we got to see what it'd be like. Then we got 2 years to run out of pocket, so we're just rebuilding from that. We definitely want a fence. As where that's, we're still going back and forth on which way to do it. I know we definitely want to have it done professionally. I'm not a very good fence builder, and I think we'd all like to see a straight fence. So that's what we're working towards. So we're talking about different ways of putting a fence up. If visual is what the primary is, you know, is what everybody's kind of looking for, then maybe starting out with something that does that, keeping the street view clean. We could probably work with that. So time frame, I'd like to see something done this year, 3 to 4 months.
Eric, did you mention a revolving loan, or would they qualify for a revolving loan?
I haven't mentioned revolving loan. We had talked about a facade grant, and I had given them an application, and we talked about it at the last meeting also.
What's a revolving loan?
Low interest and an extended time. And that's through 3 or 4 different financial institutions here in Watsika. You would have to fill out a revolving loan application, and then the institutions would look over, not us, but the banks would look over, and one of them would either take the loan, and it's for an extended period of time also. So maybe that would be something you guys might be interested in participating in. It's a matter of filling out the revolving.
Yeah, that's something we'll look into. Yeah, because we've got a couple estimates, just trying to work with them. I don't know which section every ward is for. Is Don or Mr. Miller, are you part of our ward?
Yes.
We have a form. Do you want to show them, like, give them an option where we put the fence? You were asking about that earlier. Yeah, is anybody interested in where we put the fence, or has any opinion on where they would like to see it?
That's
Well,
up to Eric.
One thing, living there close to where you're at and stuff, I noticed the U-Haul trailers are to the east, close to them houses there and stuff. I think it'd be nice if they could have a little privacy with, it's pretty near in their front yard. I can understand why you may want to leave the front open for show so people can see the U-Haul trucks and everything.
I'm with you on that too.
But a lot of the rest of it there, probably screening it like you had talked about would be a good idea. You got a tough site because of
Obvious.
water.
Yeah.
Rolling elevation.
Yeah, we had a flood survey done, and that worked out. We weren't as bad as we thought we were, so that helped with the insurance. The dock side of the building, that really seems to be the best option for visual, but that would have to be filled. So kind of looking towards, we were told an engineer, we'd have to come out and look at that. I would like to get an engineer out there to look at that and see. That would be the best out of sight, out of view for a fence that would work well with us.
I'm assuming you don't use that dock then?
No, we don't use it for a dock, not for trucks or trailers. Speaking of the trucks and trailers, so we got 2 trailers there that Eric would like to see removed. One of them we use for the tires. They got to be inside. Keeping them inside the building with us is a liability that we would really rather not have. So I hear there's a variance. I don't know if that's something we talked to you about, Eric about, or what size trailer. We don't have to keep many tires, but we'd rather keep them out of the building if at all possible.
I had the fortunate and unfortunate experience to use you this past week.
I know.
So thank you guys. You did a great job. I appreciate it. Customer service, you were out there timely and did an excellent job. Thank you. So I appreciate the service that you did. I do think in past meetings, Eric shared that this fencing has been a concern for quite a while. So I also would like to see some sort of time frame if that's possible. It's reasonable for you and us, and then
That
go
goes
from there.
back to the whole COVID start. When we started, and then we had 2 years, we ran out of pocket.
Yep.
And that was, and we're just recovering from that.
Understand.
Everything
So whether
has
that's
been
3
that
months,
plan.
6 months, whatever we need to do that's reasonable, workable for you, but also that we can put this to rest so we're not continuing to discuss it, I would appreciate
Yes,
it.
we've become very close.
We can make some calls, get some estimate time frames and stuff, and I can come back next month or so, give the update on that, or I can keep Eric updated.
That would be great.
I'm okay with Eric, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Any other questions, concerns? We seem to have a good, pretty rapport with the community.
we are looking forward to staying here long term.
I do believe your customers are way more difficult than mine.
Well, it's the service we need.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope that everything goes good, can you stay in business and help us out.
Another thing we want to say, if you have any concerns, anytime, just stop by. We're always open. Just give us a call if it's on the weekends or something. We have no problem talking.
And Pence's input, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
I think that's it.
Thank you.
All right.
That's all I have. Any questions, comments?
All right. Need a motion to adjourn?
I should probably speak up.
I'll make that motion.
Does Shane need to say stuff?
Shane?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Shane.
So there was a concern about RV trailers, utility trailers brought up in the last meeting. I've been addressing that, one specifically at 513 North 6th. I stopped by, had a lengthy but positive conversation with the resident there. He understands the ordinance and he would like to comply. He agreed that he would be willing to pay for the gravel drive to be put in on the south side of the property. It would be the exact same length as the existing fence. And just for reference, it's 516 North 6th. It's 6th and Elm Street. It's a crossroad there on your way to Peters Park. Any concerns?
Be on the south side of the fence?
Yes, on the south side of the fence. Actually, it's in the next lot to that property.
Does he own that lot?
I'll have to check on that. He maintains it.
That's
I
not
do
saying
know
it's
that.
his.
Yeah.
So,
What's the building he's building? Not that it's any of my business, I guess. Never mind.
I guess I'm confused. So he's asked permission to put gravel on his own property or on the property next to
the property that he maintains.
that he maintain? Okay,
Yes.
okay. Is there any other?
I think Shane's asking if it's okay with council. I'm out of it
If it's his
per the owner's
Not his,
request.
is it his property?
No,
Huh?
no. Right. It's not his property.
It's my understanding the house that he purchased, that owner also owns the property he maintains. Does that make sense? The previous owner of the residence that he is living in owns this lot to the south.
So you're saying he doesn't own it then?
Correct.
Well, he can't put gravel on somebody else's property, can he? I'm not an attorney, but
I don't know. I'm gonna put my trailer at your house then.
Well, if he gets the other property owner's permission.
yeah, if you get,
Yeah, I think we need permission
Okay.
from them, and then it's really not our discussion.
Yeah, I
right?
guess.
It's not our discussion.
Yeah, I guess if he,
Well, he's
Get it written.
He just wants to get, because the ordinance is either hard surface or gravel.
Correct.
Okay.
A non,
And if that owner
Can't be
gives
grass.
permission for gravel, then
Yeah, I guess. Knock
Okay.
yourself out, dude.
Now, what about flood? I mean, he's gotta take some dirt out if he brings rock in.
he's not
I mean, that's
taking
gonna
any,
be a couple, 3 semi loads of rock.
he's not
to do
taking
that.
any,
No.
he's not
There was
taking
no
any dirt out.
conversation regarding the removal of any soil.
Are we right, Eric? If you bring stuff in, you gotta haul it out, right?
Normally, yes.
Does he know that?
Well, he's not gonna take any dirt out.
No.
He's just gonna,
you can dump gravel on top.
But he's bringing rock into the floodplain, and normally we have either compensatory storage or they have to remove what they bring in.
are we?
You could
making-
put the stipulation in that he would have to remove the soil to add the gravel.
That's all low right there.
It is low.
Yeah, but you're saying there's a law or something that says we have to like.
Ask
Give and
Eric.
take, right?
Yeah, you can't.
He's the man that can tell you.
Is that correct? There's a law or an ordinance or something, if you take away or add, you have to take away in flood zone, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Well, then, I would say he's gotta comply with that law.
That's why, like McDonald's, they had to build a pond.
Hmm.
And if you, compensatory storage, I think, is the magic word I always hear.
Yeah.
Okay. I will convey that. The next thing I need to address. So when I came on board, it was an issue that I primarily address the abandoned or junk vehicles on properties, which I've been doing. And in reviewing the village ordinance reference to inoperable vehicles, I provided a copy of that, highlighted just the top portion. And it states members of the Watseka Police Department or the police department. The previous gentleman who had this position qualified because one was full-time and the other one was part-time with Watseka Police. I am neither. And to be honest, I have no intention of becoming, because that means I have to get recertified. Chief Starkey and I have had a conversation about this a couple times as to how to pursue this. The reason it's an issue is because for me to remove a vehicle and then process it and junk it, there's the license plate and the VIN have to be checked through Secretary of State. By doing that, you have to go through what is called leads. And we're trying to establish whether or not I can do that legally. If that's the case, that would help facilitate this rather quickly. But the other issue is the ordinance. And I go back to members of the Watseka Police Department. We feel that the best way to handle this going forward is to amend that to include code enforcement. That way, not just for me, because I'm not going to be here forever. The next person, if they're associated, affiliated with the police department, great. If they're not, and they're code enforcement solely like I am, they still have the authority by the ordinance.
So just change the language.
Correct.
All right.
So you're talking of something of members of Watseka Police Department and/or code enforcement?
Yes.
Simple enough.
Right.
Right now, it's just police only.
Correct.
We can have Joe do that, can't we?
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Yep. If everybody's in favor of that, I'll have the city attorney take care of the changes. Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay.
After he does that, do we need to vote on it or anything, or just him changing?
Well, we can vote on it, this full council meeting.
We can go ahead and do the paperwork, though.
We can do the paperwork and then we'll have it ready for full council. The 24th or whatever, I guess it's 24th. Okay.
You good, Shane?
We're good.
All right. Need a motion, anything else? All right. Need a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Minch, need a second?
Second.
All in favor?